Much better with a bigger screen. I've been struggling with the laptop for a while now. All right, are we ready?
Yes, we are ready.
As the host. Okay, so let's begin. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. This is December 20th, and I'm December 20th in Australia, and in Asia, it's December 19th in California. Michael is going to help us request Dharma, and if you're joining online through YouTube, welcome. We're going to have a full program of Dharma investigation today, so let's begin. I'll put my palms together and we'll request Dharma together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nammo Sadanto Suchedoye Olahudi Sanmiao Sanputoshi. Together, Wu Shang Shen Shen Wei Miao Fa, Bai Qian Wan Jie Tan Dao Yu, Wo Jin Bian Wan De Shou Shi, Yuan Jie Ru Lai Zhen Shi Yi. Together, supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in a billion eons. But now we see it, hear it, and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture. My name is Heng Sure, and I'm coming to you simultaneously from all sides. This is really the Pullman, the universal door. I'm live in Queensland, Australia, and I'm simultaneously appearing virtually in Berkeley, California, and we're streaming live onto YouTube, which goes out to the world and then archives for folks later. And I'm here with Sam Ong in Gold Coast, and we're going to be looking into the Flower Garland Sutra. And I realize I have forgotten my mouse, my fish, and bell. So let me ask Sam to help out. He's up there. Thank you. We're going to invoke the Flower Garland Sutra, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the Assembly, and then come back to page 31. So let's. Thank you so much. Super. We want to turn there. Does everybody have a copy? And if you're there at Berkeley, you have a analog copy, a print copy. We're here online with a virtual copy. Here we go. Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yin Jing Hua Yen Hai Hui Ho Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yin Jing Hua Yen Hai Hui Ho Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yin Jing Hua Yen Hai Hui Ho Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yin Jing Hua Yen Hai Hui Ho Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yin Jing Hua Yen Hai Hui Ho Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yin Jing Hua Yen Hai Hui Ho Pu Sa. Put our Dharma instruments back and return to. We're looking today at page 30 and 31. Page 30 and 31. Okay. hide that and show the Chinese first. We're going to start with this paragraph. You can see on your screen. Chinese here. This is the very, very last paragraph of the prose section of our text before we go on to the verses, which we'll get into right after. Okay, ready? Palms together, please. And I'll read the Hanzi, the Chinese characters. People are welcome to do that if you prefer to read the.
Fasher, could you make it a bit bigger?
Bigger?
Yes, please.
How's that?
Like, could you zoom in?
I just did.
Okay.
On my screen, it's really big. Can someone confirm? Jinchuan Jinhe Shi, is that big or not big?
Maybe once more.
Once more. 30, 31. Let's see. Be right there. We go. Apple made their scroll bars so small in this last iteration that you have to dig for the scroll bar. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Fine.
We just can't see the text on the. Okay, now it's great.
That's good. Oh.
Yes.
Okay, let us read. Here we go. 此菩萨若亲行精进于一念请，得百千亿三昧，乃至实现百千亿菩萨以为捐属。若以愿力自在实现，过于此数，乃至百千亿，哪有他劫不能数之。Right? That's what it says. Okay, and try this. If this bodhisattva practices with diligence and vigor, within a single thought, she attains hundreds of thousands of kotis of samadhis, up to and including manifesting hundreds of thousands of kotis of bodhisattvas as his retinue. If he employs power of bodhisattva vows to manifest at ease, he surpasses that number, so that in up to and including hundreds of thousands of kotis of nayutas of kalpas, the number could not be counted or known. Okay. Here we are. Let's make sense of this passage. Okay, we'll put a context on it. Bodhisattva, this is someone who's been practicing to be helpful to the people around him and to other living beings. He is learning the techniques and the methods of what's called the sixth ground. And this bodhisattva has done it. He's finished his course as a sixth ground, sixth stage, sixth level bodhisattva. And this is the part of the text that refrains, it repeats that technique, those instructions. It says it again. And it's the bodhisattva is right at the end of that. I say it refrains. No, that's not the right word. This is a refrain. This is a repeat of material that happens at each stage. It says, when the bodhisattva really gets good at this, he enters samadhi. Samadhi, that state, is a state of concentration, of purity, of focus, of stillness. It feels good in the body, it feels good in the mind, and it's another octave. It's another octave of being. Okay? Actually, here's an octave. Ready? Here's an octave. Here's an octave. Now, I'm using the wrong mic for this, but you get the idea. An octave is this. Or so when you enter samadhi, I'm not speaking from experience. This is not my state, but our teacher described it to us in detail and encouraged us to go ahead and enter the beginning levels of samadhi. When you can do this, your body and mind do that same better than that, even better than that. Really smooth, really, you vibrate at another pitch. Your body and mind work like never before, but important to remember, this is, quote, natural, normal, healthy. It's not weird. You don't have to become a superhero or an alien or some sort of bionic human being in order to enter samadhi. It's all programmed inside. It's all latent and waiting and ready there. We just don't have a model in front of us who has done it. But the sutras are precisely about people who have done that, and it's an instruction manual. It's how to enter samadhi. And there are times within human history, within memory, I guess, maybe cultural memory, kind of deep, the way myth is in our memory, language is a memory. There are times in memory when people did this regularly. It's called the proper dharma, the time of the right dharma. And it lasts for 500 years, and gradually people kind of move away from their nature out into their senses more. And things in the world attract us and hold our attention, so we lose the essential direction for attaining samadhi, which is back, back. So return to samadhi. Return back to find that samadhi. Okay, this is called samadhi lore, right? Lore, you know that word? It's kind of like, oh, too tiny, too small. Try this again. Samadhi lore. Samadhi learning. And people, unfortunately, have forgotten it, but we turn to the sutras to remember it and to figure out what it's about. There's another, many. The sutras carry lots of other kinds of heritage learning, deva lore, what it's like in the heavens. The sutra goes on and on about life as a deva. And you don't want to say as a god, because anybody who's raised in a monotheistic context knows there's only one God. Well, the Buddha Dharma and Hinduism, who both drew from the same base, and the Hellenistic tradition, the Greeks, right? Greek mythology, plural gods, many gods. We know their names, and we know their families, and we know their raunchy bad habits, and we know their legends. So this is one of the reasons why we dig into the sutras, because these texts remember. They remember this essential octave reality. Definitely the people who aspire, who admire that kind of living, say that humanity has, quote, fallen, right? And it's like, if that's octave living, then currently living in a time when AIDS exists. What is AIDS? When AIDS becomes transmitted heterosexually, then it's a time when reproducing the species will kill us. Right? That's fallen. That's, for example. Other time, other evidence, when the air that we breathe poisons us, that's the time we've fallen, right? So just, that's not to editorialize on that, but just to say what? There was a time in our memory when people could enter samadhi the way they wake up from sleep. Just that regularly and easily. How wonderful to be able to say, okay, switch, kind of in your mind you switch, and you're now in that beautiful vibration level of samadhi. What about samadhi? What is this samadhi learning, samadhi lore? There are samadhis that come along with the sixth ground bodhisattva that what? You get. Attain is not a word we know. You get. He gets. He masters. He manages. He experiences. Kind of that. Hundreds of thousands of kotis. That's a big number. A koti is a Sanskrit word. Didn't get translated because the Chinese translator didn't translate it. But it means many. It's a big number. Hundreds of thousands of, lots of samadhis, not just one. But a six-stage bodhisattva can enter samadhi on all sides, on left and right, up and down, all 10 directions. Doors appear that can put you into samadhi. And the sutras describe samadhi. You can enter samadhi through your ear. Maybe a pianist would be able to hear certain passages and just find themselves slipping into a bigger state, right, through the ear. Others, through memory, enter samadhi. Memory of the Buddhas, perfection. Others enter samadhi through patience, many doors. So lots of gateways to samadhi open up. And look at this. What else happens with these samadhis? We're going to go back to our Chinese to get the text. Here we are. Come on, scroll bar. I need you. My fingers are, I got a mouse that I'm, come on. Please go up. There it is. Aha, see? That's how easy it was. There we go. Sapusa, Roa, if the bodhisattva is vigorous, in an instant, in a thought, that's all the longer it takes to enter a samadhi. That's something I want to talk about. Okay, we'll take the whole thing. Thank you. And I'm going to manipulate this text here. A little bit of patience while we play with it. Here we go. Okay. All right. Here, let's make that bigger so you can read it. By the way, I didn't ask. Is that readable? Heng Sure, can you read that?
Yes.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. Oh, I've just got a notice from my tech staff. If you type it into GoToMeeting text box, I can read it. Okay. So let's take a look. What does it say? It says the bodhisattva in this period of time, in a single thought. Okay, that's specified. Yu Yiyan Qing. Qing, sometimes that we wouldn't be wrong if we translated it as in a finger snap, just like that, right? That's an available hand gesture. Snap. That quick, right? How long is 一念庆? Hard to measure. Hard to measure. But what do we say? We say split second, in an instant, in the twinkling of an eye, right? So within a single thought. How long is a single thought? Well, actually, because Buddhists have been meditating and looking at their minds for 2,600 years, there's literature that talks about how long a thought is. Oh boy, it's called the Abhidharma. And if you read Abhidharma texts, they're mostly in the Pali tradition. They talk about coarse thoughts, thoughts that can be divided into 7 segments, you know, thoughts that are very fine and subtle. So in a very short time, and it's interesting that it took it into the mind as a time divider, isn't it? Something that quick, just whoop, like that. That's how long it takes for the Bodhisattva to master, get, manage, experience, not just one samadhi, but hundreds of thousands of kotis of samadhi. And this is what I wanted to work on. 乃至实现 乃至实现百千亿菩萨一为眷属. What? Manifesting up to and including manifesting hundreds of thousands of. That's not what people say in English. And the Buddha communicates very well. The Buddha is a great communicator. So if this makes no sense in English, it's our fault. We haven't digested it enough, worked on it enough to really understand what it says. So people rarely say up to and including, right? We don't. That's to say, I'm leaving something out. I'm not going to tell you everything. That's what that means. What's another word that we use to indicate that? Etc. Right? When you hear somebody saying etc., you know what they're telling you is they don't want to tell you the whole thing for whatever reason. It's not worth it. You know, it's too complicated, too long, or something. Waste of time. So, within a single thought, he gets lots of samadhis, and how about that? And I like that. Good word. Up to and including. And manifesting? No. 实现. Nobody says manifesting. A manifest is like a declaration. It's manifestly evident, meaning obvious. That's another meaning. But automatically, in our earliest translation efforts, when we saw the word 现 as a verb, we said to manifest, because that was in the dictionary. I don't think people use that language. I think we could say show, make appear. What else? Brings about. That also gets it. But he makes appear. Makes appear. Let's do that one. And makes appear hundreds of thousands of kotis of, wow, bodhisattvas. Check that out. These samadhis bring bodhisattvas in along. Think about that. What in our daily lives has anything like that? Yeah. And what are they doing there? 以为眷属. Retinue. Has anybody ever in your life used the word retinue? Why is that a translationese word? It's like a retinue. Retinue. Again, man, that was a dictionary. I owned one. Every translator who studied Mandarin from like 1955 to like 1985 automatically owned a copy of Matthew's Chinese English Dictionary. It was a wonderful book. Mine was totally thumb twisted and fingerprinted, and I put plastic on the cover because I ruined the first cover. And we digested Matthew's before we learned our writing Chinese. But the first word is not the only word. Chinese often has multiple English translations for one Chinese word. Retinue is, if you look at it, there it is. It's one of those words that's there waiting to be translated. But we don't, what do we say? Group, clan, followers,
Entourage.
entourage. That's even a TV show. Who said entourage? Who was that? Whose voice was that?
Stephen.
That was Stephen in the back. Thank you, Stephen. Entourage. Good. Encourage participation. Entourage. Yeah. Everybody knows what that is because of the TV show, probably. I'm not sure we want to think about that TV show when we think about bodhisattvas, but that show has like stolen that name, co-opted that name, right? So anyway, following. We know what that means. This is group, right? So think about this. In a single thought, this bodhisattva can put his body and mind into this octave state of being where there's no trouble. Samadhi is what the Buddha entered before he became the Buddha. Right? He entered one called the dhyana samadhis, the third dhyana. And furthermore, many samadhis open. And when you enter samadhi, what do you realize? Suddenly you're surrounded by the world's most selfless, good-hearted, powerful beings, bodhisattvas. They're living in that samadhi space with you. How about that? What could we draw as a parallel? It's kind of like, I guess, if you, what would it be? I'm just reaching out for something. Let me seed the idea. You can give me back. If you, let's say, suddenly you, what could it be? Gosh. Let's say you develop a taste for raw food. Okay. And never before had you paid attention to raw food, but because you start to eat, like experiment with raw food, you suddenly notice there's raw food on all sides. Oh, there's on the buses, there's in the magazine, there's, you're tuned into it, and you realize you've always been surrounded by people who eat raw food, but you never notice. Once you pick up on it, suddenly, right? That's a really crude example, but you get the idea. What else would it be? Like sports fans, right? You've never been interested in hockey before, but as soon as you're like start to tune into hockey, you realize, oh, there's an interview with the son of Michel Richard, the pocket rocket, and suddenly hockey is everywhere. It wasn't that it wasn't there, but you're tuned into it. Something like that. When the bodhisattva enters samadhi, suddenly these other bodhisattvas are they like imaginary beings? Well, they're inconceivable, certainly. You don't think about them because their realm is more subtle and refined than your realm. Maybe after you get your MD, once you become a medical doctor, you realize that you like the other MDs that you meet, and you have relatives who are MDs who never talked to you before, but now, something like that. There's a new connection that has not... What are you laughing at? You're smiling at something there, Jin Chuan. You got to share the joke. He's not going to do it.
I was just
What was the joke?
I was just thinking of all the MDs that are your good friends. I was just smiling comparing to the doctor, the bodhisattva to the MDs that are befriend you because you're an MD.
He's not an MD. He's a BS, a bodhisattva, right?
Yeah, bodhisattva.
No. So somebody help me out. You hear what I'm trying to say? I'm grabbing for something that I can't quite grab. Who's got it? When you enter samadhi, you've got these bodhisattvas that appear. Were they not there before? No, they were there before. You were just unable to see them. Once you enter samadhi, it's like you go from 0 to 120 miles an hour in 7 seconds, and you never realize that the telephone poles kind of have a musical rhythm as they pass your windows. Tung, 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 tung. I don't know. Think of your better, give me a better analogy for what it's like. But these bodhisattvas are part of the samadhi. That's so interesting, isn't it? I don't know. I just think it's fabulous. Okay. What else? Let's take a look. What happens next? If he employs the power of bodhisattva's vows to manifest at ease, he surpasses that number, so that up to and including hundreds of thousands of kotis and ayutas of kalpas, that number could not be counted or known. Translate, please. If he, and this can be kind of tiring for me to always add, so please, people, use your own pronoun. Another way to do it is that. The bodhisattva this is not gender specific. The bodhisattva could be a male, could be a female, could be another species, another dharma realm. Okay. If the bodhisattva employs the power of a bodhisattva's vows to zizai shixin, to appear with effortless mastery, effortless self-mastery. Okay? If the bodhisattva uses vows to appear with effortless self-mastery, there's more samadhis. He surpasses that number, even including, instead of so that you get rid of up to and including, even including hundreds of thousands and hundreds of kalpas.
Dharma Master?
Yes.
Would it make sense to, in the beginning, employ to use rely on instead of employs? Relies on.
Let's take a look. What does the Chinese say? Yi, it's just yi. Okay, let's even get rid of that. If she appears with effortless self-mastery by through the power of a bodhisattva's vows. Okay, that would also be okay. So, if the bodhisattva appears with effortless self-mastery through the power of a bodhisattva's vows, she surpasses that number, even including hundreds of thousands. Up, let's see, even to hundreds of thousands, a number beyond counting or knowing. That's kind of clumsy, but you get the idea. In other words, there's something special about a bodhisattva's vows. What could that be? Think Earth Store Bodhisattva. Okay, people who are not familiar with our tradition may not know about Earth Store Bodhisattva, but there is another bodhisattva in our tradition. He's called, they call him a celestial bodhisattva, although he lives in the hells, not in the heavens. He's one of the big bodhisattvas who is famous for vows. And he says, until the hells are empty, I will never become a Buddha. Only after beings have been entirely taken out of suffering will I myself realize enlightenment, Bodhi. Why are those the greatest of vows? Because those vows, I'll just mention quickly, they've got two halves. First Order Bodhisattva says, 地狱为空实不成佛. If the hells aren't empty, I'm not going to become Buddha. If all the beings who are suffering in the hells have not been pulled out of the hells, I won't become a Buddha. That's the first half. In other words, the hells are empty, but suddenly other realms are full of these former hell dwellers who are now in the, who now come back to places where they're not suffering quite so badly. Then the second half is 众生度尽方正菩提. Not only am I going to pull them all out of the hells and empty the hells, I'm going to take all those beings who are now still in samsara and pull them all the way up to tu, right? To cross them over to Buddhahood. So Erstor's vows are like doubly hard. Okay, so for example, let's say we're all in the human realm. Can't guarantee that. We might have some devas or ghosts, other beings here. Who knows? We might have bodhisattvas here who are provisionally manifesting as citizens of California, right? So, could they be future candidates for being tu'd, crossed over, taken across to Buddhahood? Yeah, likely. So we're only halfway there. First Order Bodhisattva still has to get us to take refuge, take precepts, cultivate, make vows, purify, enter samadhi, realize bodhi, right? And purify all the karma in between. So that's a lot of work. That's why those vows are so big. First Order Bodhisattva is not only going to pull people out of hells, he's going to take them to Buddhahood. A lot of work. That's a great vow. Why is that working here? What does it mean? It means that in the sixth ground, there's another level of function again that works with vows. It doesn't specify, but it says the power of a bodhisattva's vows, the power of bodhisattva's vows. If somebody makes the selfless vows of a bodhisattva, which would be what? Well, we have four familiar ones, right? 众生无边誓愿度. Sentient beings are boundless in number. Even so, I'm going to take them all across, right? Those four, those four. And that's when you make those vows and you put them in the center of your heart, things change for you. Number one, you stop being concerned about your own salvation or liberation. It's not unimportant. It's not the most important thing. Others' salvation and liberation is identical with yours. So your sense of time changes. It's like you take your wristwatch and put it in the drawer. Because why? Doesn't matter if you get enlightened. You can die now in the service of living beings, and it's the same because you're for sure coming back on the same path. It's going to happen. So your relationship to your mortality, your fear goes away. You're not afraid of dying because you know that these vows will pull you back, right? So that's the kind of thing. Okay. So, boy, that's deep stuff, right? In other words, look at what this says about things like mind over matter. That's one of our English language idioms. We're going to talk about idioms tonight. Mind over matter, right? There's one of our phrases, mind over matter. Is that real? Yeah, you bet. The Bodhisattva path is clearly, I guess cultivation is clearly mind over matter. Because you could say living beings are impossible to cross over completely. First Order Bodhisattva says, yeah, I'll do it. I'm going to make that my goal. I don't care how long it takes. What else is there to do? Because why? That's part of me suffering in the hells. And I can't stand it. So mind over matter. Okay, so that's, I think, what's going on here. If the Bodhisattva on the sixth ground can appear because of a bodhisattva's vows, even more samadhis happen. That's the point. You want more samadhis than hundreds of thousands of kotis? Then make a bodhisattva's vows and appear in the sixth ground. That's another level. So, you go, wow, that's really far out. You know, it's kind of unamazing. It's amazing, isn't it? Then you hear Shifu say things like, Zhou Enlai was a bodhisattva. People know Zhou Enlai? You know, the late premier. Premier Zhou Enlai during the time of Mao Zedong, was a premier of China. And he is they call him the gray eminence of the Communist Party during the years after 1949 until he passed away. And when Zhou Enlai passed away, people cried. And it wasn't one of those, you know, North Korea staged cryings, not one of those mass cryings, crying. It wasn't one of those. It was genuine. People really cared about Zhou Enlai. And he personally saved all these monasteries from destruction during the Cultural Revolution. Zhou Enlai's life was quite astounding. Shiva says, he's a bodhisattva. Go, oh, okay. Who else? Anwar Sadat. Do people know? This is, I'm showing my age here. David, you can relate to these, right? These are our generation, right? Anwar Sadat, president of Egypt, back when. Anwar Sadat was an honorary chancellor of Dharma Realm Buddhist University. How about that? Anwar Sadat was assassinated. Terrible. But he was, Sherpa said, he was a peacemaker. A peacemaker. And now, I'll be attacked on all sides. The Republican National Committee will boycott our lecture. But I think history is going to be very, very kind to Barack Obama. I think Obama in the future is going to be remembered as someone very bodhisattva-like. Now, somebody may say, oh, you don't know the whole story. We don't do politics. Don't hand that microphone. No, if they have a political opinion, tell them to stuff it. We're not going to listen to it. Okay. Obama, under great pressure, has done remarkable things. Okay. Never mind. Okay. How about our beloved Zheng Yan Shangren? Oh, people in Taiwan go, oh, no, you don't know the whole story. But Tzu Chi, maybe it got too big, but Tzu Chi has done wonderful things repeatedly, just for the good of it. That's bodhisattva-like behavior. You can say that, okay? I'm going to be wrong if I say so-and-so is a bodhisattva. But if you want to say, for living people who are still among us, that's bodhisattva-like behavior.
Dhamma Master, recently we had...
yeah, you want me to stop, right? You want me to stop with the naming names already? Go ahead.
Mother Teresa.
No, you don't know the whole story. No, okay. Mother Teresa. She is approaching canonization. I saw that 2 days ago. That Pope Francis, the Holy Father, found a second miracle that is attributed to Mother Teresa. And you need a couple, I guess. You can't be short a miracle. You have to have a couple miracles to become a saint. Well, they say that she's on the way to sainthood. Now, the reason why I reacted that way is you will find naysayers to almost everyone. And there are people who talk trash about Mother Teresa, believe it or not. Maybe that's why you become a saint, because you have people pushing against you or something. But certainly, if that's the case, Obama qualifies. Oh, my goodness. So, anyway, how do you know who's a bodhisattva? Well, they don't show you their driver's license. They don't show you their name card. how do you do? Here's my name card. Bodhisattva.com, that, or something .bs, Bodhisattva. So if someone tells you they're a bodhisattva, that's your response. BS, right? They're not a bodhisattva. You don't say it of yourself. Okay, so we're going to move on now into the, where's desktop? There we go. We're going to move on into our verses next. By the way, this is Pauline. Pauline is our nocturnal Dharma protector. She's, you'll notice her eyes. She's nocturnal. That's why her ears are currently swiveling like antenna, right? And her eyes, she's a night creature, and so she's got eyes like that. Let's come back to our text and move into our verses. So what did we just learn? We learned that bodhisattvas can enter samadhi, and that samadhis come with these perks, right? They come with perks. When you enter samadhi, bodhisattvas appear in the samadhi because you're on their wavelength, maybe? Or if you use a bodhisattva's vows, you can make those samadhis multiply to a number nobody could imagine. All right. 尔时金刚藏菩萨欲重宣其意而说颂曰：菩萨圆满第无地矣，观法无相亦无性，无生无成本清净，无有希论无取舍。Well, okay. At that time, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva, wishing to restate his meaning, spoke the following verses. When the Bodhisattva has perfected the fifth ground, he observes that dharmas have no marks and are without a nature. Without production or conclusion, they basically are pure, not having theorizing, without grasping or rejecting. There's the Chinese, and there's the English. It's nice to be able to do this from a computer because we can manipulate the text as much as we want. And since we're in the process of translating, it's very helpful to be able to do that. Oh, okay, I see what happened here. We lost a bit of that. Got to go back, sorry. Well, this is certainly for me. There. There we go. Yes, that's it. Okay, here's what it says. I picked up a lot here. Oh, I see. There it is. Oh my goodness. All right. And we'll do the same with the Chinese. Okay, ready to go. So here's the Chinese, are sure, then, next, then, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva. This is our speaker. We've moved on now. We're actually, this is one of the turning points in every one of the grounds. When you go from prose to verse, and there are scholars who will tell you that the verses came first. And there's reason to think that might be true, because why? There's a Dasha Bhumi document that was not collected by Master Heng Sure when he translated. It was another version, and it's only the verses. That the prose was kind of a restatement, a reiteration, iterating again of the verses. Because the verses, why? They're easy to remember. They meter. They go bump, 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 like your heartbeat. So then, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva, stick a period in there. Good. Wanting to, once again, Xuan, this is our teacher's first name, his meaning, what? Er Shuo Song Ye, wishing to restate his meaning, spoke the following verses. I don't think so. I don't think you speak verses. You chant verses. You sing verses. You intone verses. You, in the language of hip-hop, you spit verses. Right? It's spoken word poetry, but it's probably with a melody. Right? If you do, Pali chanting, Hanmayam Ratanam Hanamagatayo Cheva Sambega Parikitanapatam Chabadnamase. Now let us chant the praises of the Buddha, the Blessed One. Da dee 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 da dee 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 dee. That's how Pali, contemporary English Pali chanting, contemporary Theravada chanting from Pali to English has taken a verse. The Japanese Zen tradition has a very interesting way of chanting, which is sticking to a fixed tone. Hanya Shingyo. They just stick to a single tone like that. Our Chinese tradition is very musical. The Chinese Buddhist music is just this incredible gift to the world. It's so beautiful and so well developed. And it has this magical, not magical, no, it's a practical, less magic, more practical, more down to earth. There is a way in the Chinese Buddhist Sangha that allows all the different accent groups of China to sing together the Buddha's name. Okay, so this is why I'm a campaigner among our translators group to turn this into chanted, the following verses. Chant, chante in French, to sing. Chanteuse is a singer. Incantation, cantor, all the same root. Cant, cantare, to sing, right? So I think you chant. Here's what I was going to tell you. I was in Longhua Monastery in Shanghai, which is one of the biggest, oldest monasteries. It's been in Shanghai on that spot since the 4th century. Yep. Long time. Sacred ground. The monks at Longhua Si come from all over China. It's kind of an elite monastery. You have to be a really good singer there because that's where you go if you want to do a Shui Yu Kong. If you're a layperson, let's say from Manila or Kuala Lumpur, and you're wealthy and somebody passes away, well, it's well known that having the monks do a shui lu for you is a lot of merit, because it takes a lot of monks, a lot of chanting. So people go to Longhua Si, Dragonflower Monastery, because it's well known that they do it well. They may be the best, some people say. Okay, here we are, morning recitation at Longhua Si. And I'm wondering, because there were monks there from every corner of China, people who speak Cantonese, right? People who speak Shanghainese, people who speak Hakka, people who speak Hokkien, right? People who speak from far out west, from Taishan, where things are different, Shanxi province, people from Sichuan who speak differently, people from, Manchuria who speak with a thick Manchurian accent, all these different Shandong accents, all in there. They're going to sing together. Okay? Uh-oh. Anybody who's been to CTTB and tried to get the monks and the nuns, east and west, to sing together, you know what that's like, right? You start out, Namo Amitofo, and pretty soon it's Namo Amitofo, pretty soon it's Namo Amitofo, and then one brave person goes, Namo Amitofo, somebody with a big voice, you know. It's hard to get voices together because they just go like this, right? And pretty soon it sounds like cacophony, especially men who are not particularly necessarily musical. If they were coal miners every generation, or farmers, or people who've never sung in their life, suddenly they're bhikshus, they're supposed to be singing, right? They're supposed to be chanting. So what do? Chinese has a beautiful solution, at least at Longhua Si, which is, it's a way to recite the Buddha's name that puts everybody together. Here's what you do. Got my power tool, my wooden fish. Ready? Namma Amitabha. Namma Amitabha. Namma Amitabha. Namma Amitabha. Namma Amitabha. Namma Amitabha. You can all sing along with that, right? Okay, everybody, sing. Here we go. Then you go what? You go, Amin, 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 Amin. We know that one. We do that one. But that dee da 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 da, that's brilliant, right? First of all, I think they say that is a tune from the heavens. Some people say some wise patriarch went off to the heavens and came back. He listened to the way the devas were chanting and brought it back. So putting a sacred name to that melody to begin with is pretty good. It's not Japanese, Anya Shingyo Nambutsukyo Nandachino Tamutsunai, not that. And it's not, this is what should be done, da dee 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 dee. The Pali, the forest tradition goes da dee da da dee da 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 dum, like that. They hit main note, one above, one below, right? The Chinese were able to get a melody that fit everybody's accent and everybody's non-musical skills together. Dee da dee da dee dee da da dee da dee dum, like that. You can walk with it. Tunk, tunk, tunk. Left, right, left, right. Your heart is going bump, 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 bump. It works with the heartbeat. It works with the lungs. It works with the feet. So I saw monks at Longhua Si cover the entire monastery in line while chanting in the morning. When they finished, you know what they were chanting? Da da dee da dee da. Namma Amitofo. Perfect. They arrived the way they began. So how good is that? Boy, if you've ever been the Wayno, been the cantor, trying to keep people together, who come from different countries like a CKDB, come from Vietnam, come from China, Hong Kong, Thailand, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, Canada, and California, trying to get everybody to sing the Buddha's name. Oh my Lord. Essentially, you just take a microphone and, you shout them out, you drown them out, you just, you overpower them. So they have to follow you because you're so loud. That's the only way it works. So when we recreate our ceremonies in English, we need to do something similar. Okay, chanted the following verses. That's all an illustration for this one word. You don't speak a verse, right? This offering of the faithful is the fruit of work and care. I reflect upon my conduct. Have I truly earned my share of the poison of the mind? The most destructive one is greed, as a medicine. Go, this offering of the faithful is the fruit of work and care. I reflect upon my conduct. Have I truly earned my share? That's a compromise. That's in between. So the Bodhisattva is telling the story of the sixth ground. Of course, he is presenting it in a way that people can remember. He wants people to remember. And he says, the Bodhisattva has what? Yuanman. Here we go. Jingangzang Pusa. Pusa Yuanman Wu Di Yi. Let's bring this up. Here we go. There it is. The Bodhisattva has perfected, I perfected the fifth ground. He's referring to the chapter just previous. The Bodhisattva completed. Again, mastered. Has made it round. Yuanman, round and full. The Bodhisattva has made perfect, has completed his practice of the fifth ground. He what? Wu sheng wu mie ben qing jing. Is that correct? I want to make sure I got it here. Guanfa, no. We got, there we are. I'm glad we looked. So these got put out of order. Guan, Fa, Wu Shang, okay, that's what we're looking for. A little bit tricky here. Guan, there it is. Nope, not that one. Guan, Fa, Wu Shang. Okay, and that one is also part of it. Sorry about that. Wu sheng wu cheng. Here it is. All right. Thanks for your patience here while we sort this out. Okay. Let's take a look at the Chinese here. The Bodhisattva, having made round and full his understanding of the fifth ground, takes a look at dharmas, looks at the world, thinks about reality. Okay? Guanfa. What does it mean to Guanfa? To look at dharmas. No, he doesn't look at dharmas. I've been looking at dharmas recently. No. What do? You reflect on reality. Has been thinking about his life and the world he's in, or she. Looks at, he observes that the all phenomena have no marks. Oh boy. Wuxian. Yi Wuxing. What are we talking about? This is deep stuff. This is deep stuff. Bodhisattva is a philosopher, right? Bodhisattva wants to understand the world around him, okay, or her. The Bodhisattva is thinking about life. He observes how all phenomena have no marks. They're not communist in any way. They have no marks. Groucho, Chico, Harpo, Marx, they don't have Groucho Marx, no. They, just to have no marks, that's pure Chinglish, Wuxian. No. Cannot, here's the, if we're not worrying about verse form being terse, here's what we say. He observes how all phenomena are free of any distinguishing characteristics whatsoever. Characteristics. In other words, what? Things around us cannot be identified by our senses. What you see isn't real. That's what, if you were using plain language, the Bodhisattva understands that the world around him is so profoundly all things are in transit, or they have no nature, they are impermanent, they're moving on, they're transient, they are no self, right? There's no fundamental identity in any part of reality, including kookaburras arguing in the yard. So all phenomena are free of distinguishing characteristics whatsoever. Furthermore, they are free of any intrinsic nature. What does that mean? It means you use your eyes to see them. You can't find anything in a flower that tells you this is only the rose. If you go past the surface and you look into the nature of it, there's nothing inside that is rose nature. Oh my goodness. What's going on here? It's not philosophy. This is after the fifth ground. What did the Bodhisattva do in the fifth ground? He entered samadhi and stuff got empty. This is the Bodhisattva's experience. Again, the Avatamsaka Sutra is not philosophy. This is not the Buddha saying, oh, our Bodhisattva is thinking about the world. Not. He's saying, when you meditate to this level, stuff empties, stuff goes away. That's what happens. This is real. The Bodhisattva meditates at this point, and what was so formerly so solid, like his body, right, no longer solid anymore. Through the Bodhisattva's intense focus now, he can see past the surface of things to their component parts. This is real. I think it's important that we pull this out of the realm of like metaphysical speculation. Who cares about Bodhisattva's like high on acid and stuff keeps dissolving around him? No. The Bodhisattva starts with his self. He's really concerned about who he is. He has been looking into his huatou, hu nian fo shi shui. He's been going hu so much that the self vanished. Okay? Now he's turning that same investigative power onto dharmas, onto things in the world around him. And things are starting to vanish. So, outer marks, hallmarks, characteristics, inner nature, he can see through it all and says, can't find him. Nothing there uniquely only rose, for example. Okay? So, now, what would it be like? Bodhisattva is a musician. The Bodhisattva says, A440. A440. He's not. Bodhisattva says, well, it's certainly not B, or not, G either. It's A. Yes, but those vibrations are subject to all kinds of conditions before that's A440. So he's able to go through all kinds of phenomena. That's an ear phenomena. Red rose is an eye phenomenon. Bodhisattva looks at his body and says, not what you think. Not what I used to think. Solid reality is different now. Specifically because of his meditation. Okay? Well, what's good about that? Is that like healthy? Bodhisattva is like, reality's playing tricks on this Bodhisattva. He's always hallucinating? No, because he's not home yet. The Bodhisattva is on the way to wisdom, to Buddhahood. He has to go through a phase where the self, the layers of self, this constructed me, has space inside it. And the world around me is equally fluid. How do bodhisattvas show up with samadhis? Right? We ran right by that. The bodhisattva makes appear these bodhisattvas. No, it's part of the samadhi lore, the samadhi reality that's coded in our nature, but we never get there. We're too busy on the surface. This bodhisattva is working to get there now. Phenomena can't be known by what you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think any longer. They used to be normal, not anymore. If you look inside them, you realize there's nothing there. Okay, what else? Wusheng, Wucheng, Banqingjing. All phenomena are not brought about without production. Ugh. Without production sounds like a country that's in a financial recess, right? The workers are on strike, so the factory's no production. It's not the word we want. Let's see. All dharmas have no original creation, lack any due date, right? You look on the milk carton to find out when it's expired. Lack any specific what? Wusheng, here it is. No birth, right? Unborn. Dharmas are unborn. That's a funny Buddhist word, isn't it? I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can create a word like that. Unborn. Right? Anybody? Jinhe, what are you thinking? A thought just moved.
Unborn sounds like a horror movie. Unborn.
It came from the unborn, right? I know, that doesn't work as a word. But that's literally what it says, no birth, right? Without production. No, it can't say, that's not a spiritual sound. What does it mean? This is deep, right? What's that?
It says, does not arise and does not cease, does not come into being and cease to be. I know that's what the Shurangama Sutra, by
Yes.
the new Shurangama Sutra uses. Coming into being and ceasing to be.
Does,
It's not come into being.
okay,
cease to
is neither created, let's see, you're coming to, you're on the
Coming
right
into
track.
being, coming into being, and ceasing to be. I don't know if it's
But
valuable for the last
the problem
portion.
is, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
For the last portion about how there's no marks, quote unquote, without any distinguishing characteristics. What I think, what's a interesting point, particularly around this part, which is around prajna, is that prajna is kind of like a direct seeing. So actually, in a way, it's not so much that he's seeing, or Bodhisattva's like seeing past the surface, but in fact, he's seeing without his confusion in the way. So usually we use the word cognition, which is samjñā, which word we have first is, form, feeling, cognition. Samjñā is actually the creating. So when we think about things, we take in information, but we connect it with our past memories and labels to make something what it is. But with prajna, we don't do that anymore. We just see it directly. So the bodhisattva right here is seeing things directly for what they are without connecting it up with their past memories and their past karmic habituations, and is able to see things as they are. So it's like a freedom from all their habituation. So it's like a direct knowing.
Okay, that's interesting. And what you just did was actually comment. That would be a commentary. Because why? We only have in the Chinese one word that would correspond to your commentary, which is guan. Right? That's that verb. What you said was very interesting, and that would be, that comment would be something that Master Chengguan would say, Xingliang Guoshi, the Tang Dynasty commentator, to explain this line. Mm-hmm. Now, apply what you just said to translate this line, and what would you get?
So I think we sometimes use for wuxiang, we use freedom, free from attributes.
Okay.
The sense of we attribute, what do we call it? That act of attribution to things. And wuxing, right. I don't know how to do.
We put the names on it.
Yeah, we put names on it.
The rose doesn't have the name rose. We attribute the name rose to that flower. The Chinese call it 玫瑰花, right?
Yeah. And wuxing,
in German, it's rose, right? So, yeah. Go ahead.
I think wuxing is intrinsic nature is good. And so I think, anyways, that was just a thought I had, which was when we were talking about wuxiang. And then wusen, wumie, wuchen.
That's very interesting. So let's keep on going. Keep it right here. The problem with it would be easy if this was sheng and mia, but it's not.
Oh yeah, that's
true.
It's
two words to talk about coming into being.
Got to think about that.
Right? Yeah, I know. And so you got about, 6 minutes, after which we need an answer. Okay, so wu sheng, wu cheng, fan qing jing. Look at these. What is it? He's talking about all dharmas, phenomena, the world. The world we live in. Is it Taipei, Taiwan? Is it Berkeley, California? Is it Mudjuraba, Queensland? That's where all dharmas live. Okay, what is it? They are sheng, cheng, qing, jing, not. The nature of all dharmas is they don't have these qualities. They are not born. They're not, I guess cheng could be like developed. So sheng is to come brought into being. Cheng is like matured, accomplished, done. They're not finished like that. And bun means fundamentally or in fact. We often translate as originally, right? Or basically. We say basically. And that's basically has kind of lost its power. It's like the word great. Oh, great. Great doesn't mean great anymore. Basically doesn't mean what we want this word to mean, which is at root. In the basis, in the basement, right? From the start. So these dharmas, they don't come into being. In other words, the rose that's here in August isn't there in August. Does that make any sense whatsoever? It's not ripe after it goes from bud to, and it's pure. Xingjing is pure. So does that mean clean? No, it doesn't mean clean like when, after you wash it. What is being said about dharmas? It's in this word right there. He, she sees them this way now. Now, after the fifth ground. This is before the sixth ground. We haven't, he's not, this is just the first verse, right? We haven't touched the sixth ground in the verses yet. He is reprising the fifth ground. We're going back. So, having finished the fifth ground, the Bodhisattva can now, because of his samadhi, go on. You got the microphone, you look like you're pregnant with a comment.
Oh, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I'm still thinking about exactly how to say it, though. I'm trying to, but it's because it's still similar to that principle about prajna and seeing things as they are, directly knowing. So actually, in this, when you're directly seeing things as they are, there is no actual arising and cessation happening. And I'm just trying to remember how to say that clearly. And this is actually gone over. Yes, please.
In the next step, we've now finished the prose of the sixth. We're heading to the seventh. But before we get there, we go through the verses which repeats it. Once we get to the seventh ground, the Bodhisattva is one step away from this becoming a crisis. Right? I want to run up a flag right here. Remember this time, because this is significant. When the Bodhisattva, in his or her reality, sees these dharmas, the world around him, her, is like, it's real, but it's totally not real. And these things don't exist, but they've always been there. Because why? They weren't created in the first place, but there they are. They're appearing, they're manifesting, poof, they're appearing. When the Bodhisattva takes another big step and gets between the seventh and eighth, this realization stops him. It becomes psychologically unbearable. That's my point. Flag this one. Like, remember this for when we get there. It's going to be who knows how many months before we get to the next big stage. And that's where there's a turning point. If the Bodhisattva is encouraged by the Buddhas and accepts their encouragement, he reaches a state called non-retreat. Irreversibility, right? That's the number 2 most important moment in a Bodhisattva's career. The first is Fa-Puti-Shin, when you make that resolve to get enlightened, become a real Bodhisattva in your mind. And the second one is when you no longer retreat. That's coming right up. The reason why that crisis is like a crisis, why it's like a turning point, it's an opportunity and a danger. If the Bodhisattva does not master the fear of this, if he doesn't accept the Buddha's encouragement, he quits. Precisely because this is too hard to accept. Okay? So, not a small thing going on here. If you take the Bodhisattva as a person who's going through these crazy experiences, if you empathize with the Bodhisattva's reality, this is a real trip. Borrowing the language of the 60s, right? This is a trip. Because why? The things that are so real around you never came into being. They never actually matured. They've been there all along, but they're pure of anything you can know about them. This is an identity crisis of the highest order. Okay, let's just pin some words on here to finish it. They have no coming into being, no maturation. They are pure is a difficult word. purified of being from the start. Something like that. Free of being. That doesn't work. They are, if we just say pure, they are pure from the start. They've never had the name rose on them. A rose is not a rose. It's hydrocarbons. It's vibration that makes you think it's red. Your eye cortex, your cornea picks up those vibrations and goes red, right? There's nothing there that's rose. And now this is cute right here. Look. 我有希论不出舍. It's not that they have no theorizing. Come on, that's terrible. Dharmas don't theorize. There is nothing intellectually coherent in dharmas. Further, you can't get them, nor can you get rid of them. How about that? I'm proud of that. You can't get them and you can't get rid of them either. Right? Nothing intellectually coherent about them. What is Shilun? Sophistry. Let's try again. You cannot philosophize about them. Shilun means frivolous speculation, sophistry. You can't go talking about dharmas in any way that doesn't make you sound ridiculous. Like we've been struggling the last 15, 20 minutes. We sound ridiculous, right? Anybody who was like interested in salvation would go, you people are just spinning in knots. You're just tying yourself up. What? That's nonsense. What are you talking about? The Bodhisattva sees all things empty out and, that they never were born. Right. This is not an idea. Right? And then, 无有无出舍. Can't grab them, can't let them go. I think that's very cool. That's the nature of dharmas. This is deep, right? What is this? We're looking through the Bodhisattva's samadhi lens. Okay? Locke, does this make sense? Is Master Jiang, he's going to say, you should know Chan is the highest, right? What do you think? How are we doing, Locke? You want to give us a grade on this?
It's better than before.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That's encouraging. Thanks.
是
Anybody got a comment on this struggle?
阿弥陀佛法师 I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
Since this part is the repeat,
Right? This is
it's a repeat statement from the Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva. So I'm wondering about where did this Shirun in the previous text? Because Shirun for me here is about deviant view, not the 正知正见. So I'm wondering where did the Shilun appear in the previous text? So maybe Fashi can lead us to review this again.
Right. Okay. Yuhan, I'm going to respond to your comment. The Chongsong, the verses that repeat, don't necessarily have to use the same language as the prose. The sequence is almost always in the same, talking about the same stuff, but sometimes the verses are a little oblique. They summarize, right? They can come at it from the side. So it's not the case that we need to find Shilun in the prose part for it to be, Chongsong. It's like Chongshen Qi, to be reiterated. However, here, Shilun Right, and in the Avatamsaka, by and large, Shilun, these phrases right here, could be another way to talk about it in the Chinese idiom. Oops, would be this. Right? Koto chan. That's what it means. It's kind of like pseudo expertise, false expertise. Koto chan, we say head, mouth, zen. That's pure Chinglish, right? You want an example of Chinglish? Head, mouth, zen. Koto chan, right? Word for word for word. Pseudo expertise. Let's see here. Unhelpful intellectualizing. In college, we called it bullshit sessions, right? You just talk, you get a six-pack of beer and you talk until 3 a.m. Bull sessions. We call them bull sessions. There we go. A little more polite.
Dharma Master?
Bull session, college. Yeah, Jinchuan.
You wanna
So
just-
wait a minute. So Iwan, do you accept what I said? Iwan, did I clarify, or is that what you meant?
Plating. I'm still trying, Fashi. Can you continue so we can develop?
Okay,
the
okay,
thinking?
good.
Thank you.
Jinchuan?
I was going to say, given what you just said, you said the word in the very beginning, which was sophistry. And that has that element where it's really philosophy, but philosophy really for no purpose. Idle talk.
Pseudo expertise.
Yeah. Frivolous
Idle,
philosophy.
pseudo expert, unhelpful intellectualizing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So sophistry might be a good word to use.
Right. Frivolous philosophizing. Plato talked about that. He warned against, because in Greece, there were the sophists. And I think in India too, that same people who could, what do I say in Chinese? 他很会讲话. Right? Somebody who's like glib and slick, and they can throw a million words at you, but in the end, you still, to no good end, right? So, what does it say? 无有系论. You can't get to dharmas with words. That's the point. You cannot philosophize about them. Because why? Words are simply one of the attributes. These dharmas are free of attributes. You name it, the name isn't it. The name exists independent of the object. It's its own fa. And if you say, oh, I believe it's this or it's this, that's all Shilun, because why? The level of the Bodhisattva Samadhi is way deeper than conscious discrimination and language. It is 不可心思不可言议. Can't think about it, can't talk about it. It is literally 不可思议, beyond language and thought. So, any philosophizing falls into the realm of sophistry. Got it? That's the point. Furthermore, I love this. 无取舍. Can't get them, can't get rid of them. That's where it's really prajna paramita. The Bodhisattva is doing what? It's not that dharmas are fundamentally different now. They're the same, but he can see through them now. It's Guan. The Bodhisattva's contemplation, because of the samadhis that she has learned in the fifth ground, give him an entire new way of seeing the world around him. And it will drive him nuts. That's the point of this. Coming up, it gets to a point where he gets to a crossroads. And he can either quit this and go back to being normally confused or, sixth ground bodhisattva quality. Or he can leap over and become irreversible and go on to Buddhahood. But there's a crossroads ahead. This is not easy stuff. It drives you crazy. Because now you see things as empty. They're emptying out right in front of you. Kind of like a nightmare that won't go away. But the Bodhisattva has the Buddhas behind him. He's got his vows. Key is the vows. Because all the same, the point of this, philosophizing, the point of this is what? Is ending suffering. This all began because the prince saw that he was going to get old, get sick, and die for no point, for no good point. And he said, I wonder if I can beat that. Is that all there is? This entire episode arises, the whole experience comes because the Bodhisattvas ask himself, is this all there is? And he set out, the prince that is, set out to answer that question. Do we all just have to die and start again next time, only with the addition of good and bad karma that we created this time around? That's what it's about. And he discovered, in fact, there was more. And the more is through the application of this samadhi and these vows. Okay? And a lot of martial arts in between. And lots of vegetarian food. By golly gosh. Okay, there we go. That's our first verse. You can't philosophize about them. Furthermore, you can't get them, nor can you get rid of them. We have translated with a lot of words. That is no verse. Come on, give me a verse. I want a verse. When the Bodhisattva has completed his practice of the fifth ground, she observes how all phenomena are free of any attributes. Furthermore, they're free of any intrinsic nature. Furthermore, and, let's see, they have no coming into being, no maturation, semicolon. They are pure from the start. You cannot philosophize about them further. You can't get them. You can neither get them. You can neither get them, nor can you get rid of them. Okay, I can stand with that one for the time being. That's my provisional retranslation of a verse. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be drummed out of the poetry lodge. This is bad poetry, right? Too many words. Okay, but, gee, it's fun though, isn't it? I don't know about you guys, but I enjoy this. We need to first transfer the merit. That's kind of our policy. We transfer first. So if anybody has to quit at, oops, it's already, wow, we're late already. I promised getting into our new project, and I do want to do that, Buddhist Idioms project. So let's do another, let's go right ahead without the transference now. We'll do it in a minute. And I was also, our faithful, fearless tech team has a potential solution to the bad EQ for music. We're experimenting with a new kind of audio system, which we'll plug in just a minute when we do the transference. Okay, let me show you. Last week, I talked about a project, and I said I was made aware in China that our Mahayana tradition is carried in idioms. Here's the word, idiom. I looked it up. Idioms are wisdom sayings. They are short, pithy expressions that carry either advice or wisdom. In English, we have no shortage of words referring to these sayings. Proverbs, maxims, aphorisms, axioms, adages, saw, that old saw, a tag, I never heard that, motto, epigram, dictum, expression, phrase, formula, slogan, catchphrase, mantra, that's interesting, huh? Platitude, cliche, a commonplace, a truism, and a chestnut. There you go. So, what did I realize? Jin Chuan Shi and I were wandering around Wuxi and other Xiamen and Beijing and Shanghai, and we heard people, particularly monks or people who were speaking Dharma, who had been empowered to explain the Dharma, And they were using these 4-character phrases, or sometimes 8-character phrases, and using them extensively, leaning on them. And when I reflected that we have met these through Shifu's transmission of the Dharma, he used them a lot. And when it comes time to translate them, it's a challenge. Why? They often, in translation, are obscure, opaque, exclusive, and far away from us. The Buddha Dharma is not that. The Buddha Dharma is direct, clear, universal, and inherent. It's in us. So what is it with these 4-character phrases? Because they do carry encoded, capsulized, put into diamond-like terse expressions, the heart of the Buddha's teaching. As the Dharma comes to the West, we have the charge to decode the phrases at various levels of culture and idiom and English, and then give them back to Asian Buddhists, who are often just as mystified as we beginners in the West. Why? This is code. Captain Midnight's secret decoder ring. Remember? Used to come with your Frosted Flakes, right? Secret decoder ring. We need to decode the Dharma, and you can only do it after you put the Dharma on your feet like shoes and walk in them. You can only do it after you chew on the Dharma and swallow it and digest it and get its nutrition. You can't do it from outside. It's got to come from experience. Often, people in Asia will rely exclusively on what is called 文字般若, literary prajna, word-based wisdom. In other words, doesn't translate into action. They can preach, but they can't practice. If you do that, you can pass. You sound like you know what you're saying. You sound like you are a hangjia, an expert. But somebody who is truly a 过来人, someone who's gone over and come back, knows that's simply it's mere sophistry. Here's our word again. It's only words. Verbal Zen banter. This is when these 4-character phrases are abused, right? They are a dodge, an excuse for real cultivation. What I'm suggesting is it would be fun for us to look at the list of 4-character phrases that are sometimes 8 characters and pick out some and apply our Captain Midnight secret decoder ring and find the flesh and blood experience in the 4-character phrases. I propose we translate accurate and scholarly, pithy and precise, try our best to get a good, not Chinglish, essential translation, then do what I just did for the verse from the Avatamsaka, do a thorough, clear, yet use as many words as you have to translation, which is different from this one, which is pithy, and also put it into real life colloquial language, idiomatic usage. That's what I'm suggesting would be really fun to do. And I think this is a gift to, not just to Western Buddhists, but to Chinese or Asian Buddhists who have only heard the code and kind of nodded their head, but never really took the time to unpack it, okay? If you just leave it in the code, nobody gets it. It's like a tea bag in cold water. There's no beverage in there, right? No flavor. Okay? So that's my idea. Here is a list. Some of our Dharma friends did some research over the week and came up with bigger still. Here's a list. Now, I haven't parsed this. Some of them are good, some are not good. 随缘不变，不变随缘，即是明理，明理即是风餐微光放照. Here's one. Definitely, this is what we'll do. We'll tag them. That's one. 心平气和. This is return the light, shine within, seek within yourself. That's a yogic phrase, right? Lock, there you go. There's an actual transformation of consciousness that is gongfu. And yet in common, ordinary Mandarin, Hui Guang Fan Zhao, when you tell somebody to do that, that means that's like a scolding. That's like saying, you know, you should do that too. What do we say? The pot calls the kettle black. You know, Hui Guang Fan Zhao. When Shifu means that, it's an actual physical practice of regathering your escaping essence and all. So your energy. Okay. Yuan Yuan are like, no. Xiaoran Qijing, no. Jiao Ta Shidi, here we go. Here's one. Feet stand real ground. Okay. Bai Gan Jiao Ji, no. Tao Tao Bu Jue, no. Kou Ru Shen He, mouth like suspended river. What is it? Eloquence. There's one. Oh, Bai Zhou Bu Nao. There's another one. 100 chops don't make you retreat. Okay, what does it mean? Courage, fortitude. Okay, 大开眼界, big open eye field. There's one. Okay, 诸恶莫作，众善奉行. Do no evil, do good. I think we should do that one because why? It's so central. It's considered the essence of the Buddha's teaching. And yet, if you say do no evil, do all good, people kind of get it, kind of not. That's one. 差之毫厘，牛之千里. Off by a hair's breadth. That's in the same category. That's such a common one. We should learn it. 皆大欢喜，言必忠信，度尽自利利他, help self and others. Okay, so you can see, I'll show you. Look, there's a good list, right? Lots of good ones. And we also found something cute, which was, you know, emojis. Let's see if I've got them up here. Is that one? No, that's not one. I put them somewhere on my desktop. Excuse me for a second while I go look here. There were some cute emojis with little monks, and around the little monks were all these phrases. Let's see, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Okay. I may not come up with them in the time that we have here. So, okay, there were emojis with the cute little monks, and around them were all these phrases, which tended to be ordinary Chinese phrases, not Buddhist inspired. So Chinese Wen, Zhongwen, loves these 4-character phrases as carriers of compressed wisdom. Here is one. Xiao Kou, Chang Kai, that's Maitreya Bodhisattva. I have a very large brush turkey who has just come for lunch here beside me. I wish I could turn the monitor around so you could all see the turkey. So what we're going to do, this is the project. Could I ask for feedback from all of you sitting there? What do you all think? Iwan, you were nodding your head. It's a good idea?
Fashi, I found a website. A layman from the Texas actually compiles 100 or thousands 4-character idioms from the Tripitaka. So I think maybe we
Okay.
can use that as a reference to start our project.
Good start.
Yes.
Good start. And the point, I think, will be to pick out one or two. And I think this is my understanding of what my original idea. I think there is real juice here. I think we can get a lot of aha out of this if we do it this way. So what I would like is, if Yihuan has found a website, these are my thoughts on it, and the challenge will be to give to really make it ours. Like, for example, 苦海无边，回头是岸. Suffering ocean, bitter sea no boundary. What's a bitter sea? Bitter sea no boundary, turn your head, you reach the shore. People will say that as if they're giving you really good advice. And you go, I don't know what he said. Wait, turn my head the other shore? It's like, what? No? So what do we say? We say, blues. I got the blues and I'm feeling so bad. But if I hear the right words, I can find my way back. I can chase the blues. 回头 means when you wake up. When I think it through, I chase the blues. I feel so bad, but when I meditate, the blues go away. I can find my way back, The clouds part and the sun shines again. That's level number 3, daily idiomatic usage, right? So, this is the project, and maybe we could devote like 5 minutes of every lecture to another one and start to make a list of really good ones. And if folks during the week have some really good ideas, I'm not going to type my email address. That's not a good idea. This will be archived on YouTube. Not a good idea. But if you hand them to Jinchuan Jinhe or Qinxian, they will email them. So bring them to the monastery and they'll email them, right? I don't want to post my email address. So get them into me. We'll digest them and pick out 1 or 2 every week. Jinchuan, you got an idea?
Say they can post it at the berkeleymonastery.org. There's a contact form there. So you
There
can
we
fill
go.
it in the contact form. berkeleymonastery.org.
berkeleymonastery.org, and there is a contact form. So keep your cards and letters rolling in, Mr. and Mrs. America. Here we go. And I will respond, and I will 笑口常开. Right? I think I lack about 100 pounds to qualify Maitreya Bodhisattva. Okay, good stuff. That's the project, and I think it's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. Talk about 苦海无边. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to. So Yanlin, let's see if we can't make our. See if we can't make it work here. Okay.
Okay, for sure.
All right.
Please mute
Can you
yourself.
hear me?
Please mute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me?
1 second.
1 second.
Why is it echoing? Okay, I muted my mic here. Did you get it? Did it go away? Nope.
Okay, is it okay?
Is it okay now?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, the echo went away. Great. Okay. So today I was just about to go over to the meditation class that I teach on Sunday mornings here at Gold Coast, and I heard a kookaburra explosion. There was one of those, the kookaburras can get very dramatic all of a sudden. And if there's more than one, it's noisy. And it's a real, I mean, everything stops while the kookaburras are going through their drama. And that happened. And immediately following it, there was another bird sound. And this particular bird was upset. And it was going squeak, squawk, 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 like that, just that often. And I knew that kookaburras had killed a bird and were carrying it off to eat. And the relative of that bird, maybe the mother, maybe the spouse, was complaining and crying. And the bird that was complaining continued for 30 minutes. Just squawk, 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 like that. And it was heartbreaking to hear. Sam and I have seen this happen. We've seen kookaburras, because they're meat eaters, they're carnivores. And was it Ali? I don't think it was Ali. Probably not. But, it was Ali or somebody who looked like him, But this poor bird was just pouring out his heart in sorrow for 30 minutes going on. And it was like this. It was this kind of a sound. Like that. It was just endless. And I thought, wow, what could be more natural than creatures in the forest eating each other, And man, oh man, my first thought was, I'm sure glad I'm a vegetarian, that I don't cause that kind, consciously, intentionally cause that kind of suffering in the world by my teeth, I don't pass other creatures through my body that way, knowingly. So anyway, that was a real reminder, how you can make a difference just by choosing not to harm. That act, just not eating other creatures, is wholesome, And the karma of birds that have, they do that instantly, immediately. That was a great score. And not only kookaburras, but many of the birds in the neighborhood here are carnivorous. They will eat the other nests. They'll rob the nest and kill them, Whew, you'd hope as a human we could do better. Okay, anyway, dedication of merit. Thanks for joining this week. Let's think about our 4 character phrases and the Bodhisattva Samadhi for next week. Here we go. Luminous and bright. If people hear and see our hands and hearts can find unity, may our minds away to grace, compassion, wisdom, and to joy. Be kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and may this boundless light dispel the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of hate turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Okay, Jin Chuan Jin Hoshu, you want to lead everybody in bowing to the Buddha, and we'll see you all next week. Amitofo. Bye bye.
Amitofo.